My name is Damon Brown. You are watching or listening or hanging out with Bring Your Worth TV. Let me get you guys connected on Amazon as well. Usually takes a couple of seconds to do that. There we go. Pardon my voice. As usual, allergies are kicking, particularly this time in Las Vegas, where I'm based. You are watching Bring Your Worth TV. I come to you most Wednesdays and Sundays, always at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. I'm entrepreneurial coach Damon Brown. You can learn more about me at damonbrown.net. Everything I'm talking about, the links are below for your viewing pleasure now or later. My main thing is helping you as a side hustler, a solopreneur, or otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. If you like this kind of thing and you want me hanging out in your living room, us chatting it up on most weeks, usually twice a week, always live on Wednesday, you can subscribe for free over at youtube.com/Brown Damon, or just click bringyourworth.tv. It's actually available on other platforms too, which I'm going to talk about today. It's been a very exciting period of time, which is why I've been pretty underground. And my new book, the complete Bring Your Worth collection, is available everywhere, 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 everywhere. You can actually watch it through Bring Your Worth TV right now. Excuse me. You can watch it right now over at the link right here, or just go to bringyourworth.tv. You'll see the link on there. I really wanted to serve y'all. Bring Your Worth, the collection, is almost all my business books over the last 7-8 years, which has been it's been a whirlwind, which is why I've been pretty chill. Once you do like 8 books in the course of like 7 years, it's time to chill out a little bit. Excuse me. So I've just been resting, enjoying my time with y'all. I've been connected with a lot of y'all offline or on private matters and all that stuff. And I love how y'all been supporting me. And I've been excited to support y'all. Again, it's not traditional entrepreneurs. This contains the original best-selling Bite-Sized Entrepreneur trilogy, the Ultimate Bite-Sized Entrepreneur. It includes Bring Your Worth, which is the eponymous name of this show, as well as my company. And it includes my personal favorite, Build From Now, which was made in the middle of the pandemic. Excuse me. And it was so important to get that information out to y'all. Listen, I'm going to blow out this candle because I love this candle. For y'all old school listeners, you know what candle this is. Shout out to Illuminate Life. But right now, oh my gosh, it is killing me. Apologies to you guys that are listening on the podcast. Ooh, it's a lot going on here, but I love it for it. Right now, you can actually catch me outside. How exciting is that? You can actually catch me live a few different places. The first place is on Moxie. Shout out to Moxie and the founder, Cesar. Hope you're doing well. Moxie is actually a political, or more importantly, a government platform. Think about that. When we talk about government, excuse me. Ooh, I can actually see the smoke on the camera. Okay, it wasn't just me. When it's actually a really good candle, just not today. When we talk about government, almost always we go to politics, and we talk about this guy over here, this gal over here, or what these folks are doing, what the elephant's doing, what the donkey's doing, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. We're used to that. Particularly here in America, it's become quite toxic, particularly over the past 10 years, I would say. What Moxie's doing as a platform is something different. What they're doing is saying there's a difference between politics and government. There's a lot of government things that are happening always, not right now, but always. Yes, this is a big year here in the United States. We're going to be electing the next president or confirming the current president this November. That said, there's so much stuff that happens behind the scenes. What the app does, this is an app. It's a platform called Moxie, Moxy. The link is right there. And what it does is it says, okay, I'm based here in Las Vegas. So it says, Damon, you're based in Las Vegas. Cool. Here are your representatives. Here are the people that represent you back in DC. Here are the people that represent you here in the capital city. Here are the people that represent these different portions of your government life. This is what they decided to vote on. This is how they voted here. This is how they voted over here. These are the challenges that they had over here. With that discussion happening, there's an opportunity to actually go deeper and learn more about what the different candidates are doing. Because of that, we're able to be more informed. The main focus is being informed. And that's why I love about the platform. I actually connected with Cesar a little while ago, and he was talking about getting more journalists, which my background is journalism, if I can say it. My background is journalism. I can spell, so that's good. That's a start. My background is journalism. I'm still a journalist, and so getting more journalists a lot online and having these deeper discussions. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it, which I'm kind of hinting at, is that we actually have the opportunity to make a difference this particular year, not because there's a lot of political stuff going on that helps, but also because a lot of people are paying attention. So it felt like a rare opportunity for me to make an impact, to build from now, and have a discussion with y'all about some of the legislation, some of the discussions, some of the arguments, some of the voting that's actually happening right now that's actually affecting our livelihood in regards to passive income, in regards to being independent contractors, in regards to building businesses, being non-traditional entrepreneurs. If we're not aware, excuse me, if we're not aware of the different things that are happening, then we might be making a living in a certain way and not understand, oh, we should actually we should actually pay attention to this. If we're not paying attention to it, then it's really easy to go and have those things change. A really simple example, which I posted about on Moxie earlier today, is about legislation that is going to change how people can work as independent contractors. And for some of us, we are going to be impacted in that if we have a client that we're working with, that client will have to hire us as an employee. In other words, having a W-2 versus having a 1099. That makes a huge difference. There's many, many different clients that I work with, usually a few dozen a year, sometimes more, depending on what's happening, as well as working with you as a business coach. And so that doesn't make any sense. So a lot of that legislation is being pushed through. And if we don't say something about it or something doesn't change with the lawsuits that are happening against it, then it'll go into effect on March 11th. As of this recording, today is Valentine's Day here in the States. In less than a month, this could be impacting us. I just did a post about that earlier today. In fact, I'll throw the link up there. If we're not able to be aware, if we're not aware of the different things that are happening, then we're not going to quite understand how those decisions, how those impacts, how those different things will actually impact our lives. And I'll throw the link up here so you guys can see it as well. I haven't done anything live in a little while, so thanks for your patience with me. Here's the link for Moxie. You can go and check it out down there. And that's a link to my post if you didn't go directly to my post. But more importantly, just to have it in the chat, but more importantly, I'm going to be over there discussing things like this. Again, not politics, not partisan things, but talking about these government decisions and these legal decisions. You know, if you've been watching this for a while, if you know my work, you know I love law. Having these bigger decisions made, and they're actually impacting our livelihood. I actually have a great offer for y'all. You can come through to Moxie. You can use that link right there. If you use my code, Brown Damon, same code everywhere. If you use my code, Brown Damon, you can actually join the premium version of Moxie for free for 60 days. That's today's Valentine's Day, so it'll be a month into spring until they hit you up and say, hey, you should pay for this service. That's like 2 months, that's 8 weeks. There's a lot of stuff politically going on right now. I would recommend tapping in. You can tap into my stuff. You can tap into somebody else's stuff. That's cool. The nice thing about this platform with Moxie is that everyone's contributing. So it's myself, there's other journalists that are involved, and we're all chiming in as far as these different issues and challenges that are happening within the legal system, within the government system, with the infrastructure. You know, I do a lot of research with AI now. So talking about AI stuff, and it's like, it's really my bag. I'm not a political writer. And as far as politics, that's not usually a big discussion that I have. There's also so much stuff going on legally, which is my bag, legally, that there needs to be a discussion point for it. Not all of it fits, frankly, into this channel. And of the 18,000 plus of y'all, not all of y'all are interested in this kind of thing. So it felt like a great opportunity to work with Moxie. Again, shout out to Cesar, who actually launched it. And they're doing great. I'm excited to be a part of the platform. Use the link right here. You can check out what's happening. Speaking of, this Friday, February 16th, monetize, I don't know why I would make it monetizing, monetize your reporting through self-publishing. I'm actually going to be on a panel with the folks from Moxie, as well as with Catherine Lewis, who's actually the founder of the IIJ, the Institute, excuse me if I can speak today, the Institute of Independent Journalists, as well as Nadia Sandoval, who's a longtime journalist, has done amazing work down in Columbia, as well as with Univision and a lot of places here. She's amazing. We're all going to be on a panel talking about how to monetize your self-publishing. We're actually going to flow into that with the episode today. That's part of the energy, is to say, not just building an audience, but also making a living based on the audience that you create. Those are two separate things. We're going to touch on that a little bit today. Excuse me. Now that the smoke is done, right? I hope to see you guys on Friday. I think it's going to sell out soon if it hasn't already. Right now, if you're paying attention, it's Wednesday at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. And so the event is like my time, 8:30 in the morning, 9 in the morning on on Friday. All the information is right there. Check it out. I think the doors are closing soon. You want to get on this, particularly if you're interested in watching my stuff. This will be an even more rosy version or expanded, not rosy, but expanded version of this. All right. Today's show, build an audience from scratch. Cheers to that. When it comes to building your audience, one of the biggest questions I get is, how do I start? What do I do? What am I supposed to be doing here? I don't understand. I'm confused. I know how I want to serve them. I just don't know where they are. Or if I am able to tap into them, I don't seem to quite build that community with them. What do I do? A lot of the discussion that we're going to have today, and there's 3 tools I'm going to talk about, as well as a lot of other resources, are about how you can actually build your audience from scratch, from nothing. You actually can. With Bring Your Worth TV, there's 18,000 plus of y'all that are officially subscribed, thousands more, in some cases, millions more of y'all that have tuned in. That started from zero 3.5 years ago. The last December was my anniversary. With those things in mind, it's so important to know what tools can help you, the mindset to have, and more importantly, to have the patience. It's better to have the aim right and be patient with it than to just try to build an audience and you might not know exactly how to serve them, or you might need to get feedback from them as far as how to serve them best. So I'm going to highlight some of the questions that I get all the time. If you have questions, concerns, funny jokes, throw them in the chat. And I think we're going to be on for another half hour. So come through, pull up some popcorn, chill out, right? So, excuse me. So where do I begin growing my audience? That is the killer question. I think the best place to start is with one of my mentors, Seth Godin, who I worked with him in a mentorship a few years back, but I've also loved his books and so forth. He talks about starting with one. And there really is nothing better than that for a couple of different reasons. Number one, if you find one particular person to serve, you can tailor all your stuff to literally that person. Old school advertising talk, that's like an avatar. This person is exemplary as far as who you want to serve, how you want to serve them. You notice I keep saying serve. So building an audience isn't about, building an audience isn't about making as much money as possible and getting to that point as quickly as possible. Building an audience is saying, I'm going to serve a particular group, and in serving that particular group, I'm going to be able to make a living. I'm going to be able to serve them in such a way where they actually will give me money because what I'm doing is so valuable. As I've said in the past, the best advice I got was, whatever you're charging, it should be, whatever you're delivering should be 10x that. In other words, if you buy, the complete Bring Your Worth collection, as of this recording, it's $40. There's $400 worth of value in this. And in my work, quite literally, if you read this, you'll probably be up a few $100s. So it makes sense for me to say, here, again, as Seth Godin says, here, I made this for you. Well, it's not for you? Okay, that's okay. But it is for you. you're going to get at least $400 worth of value in this. That's how things should be priced. To get to that point, though, you have to know who you're serving and why you're serving them in a particular way. That means going and doing a deep dive into the people that you really want to serve. And when you're able to connect with those people that you really want to serve, then you're able to have those discussions with them. Excuse me. It could be as simple as I like 3-4 years ago, I literally sent a survey to the people that I serve. And I said, hey, there's like 4 or 5 offerings I'm trying to do. You want another book? Do you want an online course? Do you want a podcast? Like, what do you want? And they got back right away. And we're like, no, this is what we want. And based on those decisions, I was able to give them what they want. They paid me for it. I'm like, thank you, because they told me what they wanted. How exactly did I connect with them, though? Well, that's the secret sauce. One of the best things you can do for yourself, excuse me, is actually own and create your own media pipeline. My background is journalism, been a long time journalist, so I'm biased towards this. I also understand the media landscape and the social media landscape pretty well. Based on that, you want to have as little friction as possible between you and the people you serve. As I said, as I wanted to build my audience and grow my audience, the handful of people that really rocked with me, I actually connected with them through my free newsletter at joindamon.me. I've had the newsletter for, man, before I had kids, before I got married. I've had newsletter for like maybe going on 2 decades, a long time. Before I even became an entrepreneur, I had the newsletter, even though I had different topics. And I got serious about the newsletter, as in organizing it, probably about 10 years ago. With the newsletter, though, it began, actually, it was 25 years ago. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to remember now. When I started a newsletter, it was literally just me emailing folks who were interested in the work I was doing. Then I started BCCing, as in blind CC, because the email list got too big and there's some corporate folks there. And it's like, I can't, they weren't just friends anymore. And then expanded to me working with different platforms to help organize it. So I previously worked with ConvertKit, shout out to them. And now I'm going to different platforms. I'll talk about them in a minute. The thing is that it began as an audience of 1, and then 2. And now my newsletter has several hundred folks who are rocking with me. Let's have that conversation. Let's build that discussion. And it comes out every Wednesday, 5:55 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. And with that work, with that effort, then I'm able to build with them and create something that's a little bit bigger. So that's what I mean by starting with 1. That's how you start. I've seen cases, again, I've been a business coach for several years now, I guess at this point, I guess I can call it several, and I've coached 300 plus folks. And one of the challenging things is reverse engineering, is saying, wow, I have this audience, or I'm going to be on the Today Show tomorrow. I know folks that have recently been on the Today Show. Shout out to them. You know who you are. But it's like, I'm going to be on the Today Show tomorrow. Okay. Should I start a newsletter? Should I write a book? And it's like, no, you should get ready for your Today Show appearance. Reverse engineering it when you haven't built up that energy is hard, because then you have this opportunity and there's nothing you can do about it. When I got on the second stage of TED, that would be almost 10 years ago now, but let's just say 8 years ago, I already had my newsletter. I already had books out. So I was able to take full advantage of that moment. If you want to check out my talk, you just go to bringyourworth.tv. All my TED Talks are available on there. The TEDx is as well as the one on the second stage of TED. My whole point is that you want to build from now before that wave comes, and then you'll be ready. So think more about preparing. It's almost, I always think of food analogies. And if you've been to my keynotes, you know this analogy, where it's more like, you think about it like setting the table. Thanksgiving is coming. Christmas is coming, whatever holiday you have when you have a bunch of people over. Okay, so are you going to wait until the night before and then try to set up the plates and all that stuff? No, you're going to set up the menu. You're going to touch base with a couple people that you think might want to come by, and you're going to start prepping the food. Oh yeah, so and so's partner is a vegetarian, so let me be thoughtful and I'll have some tofurkey over here. I'll change it up. Or this person's really thoughtful about their diet. Let me not just have the sweet yams. Let me have these fresher vegetables over here, so they have something to eat. So it's not so sweet. It's better for their health. You you see what I mean? Like it's like prep. It's like meal prep. You're getting everything organized. The thing is that you don't know when Thanksgiving is going to come. A year ago, I had about 700 subscribers. 700 of y'all who are tuning in, subscribe to the show. Now I have about 18,000. That happened. That wasn't happening. And then suddenly it happened. And when it happened, I had already had about 250 episodes for the 18,000 of y'all to watch. 250. This episode is 369. So get that stuff together now. Instead of just saying, I don't have audience, get ready for the audience you're going to have, so you can actually serve them in a way that works well. One of my favorite new tools to do this is called Beehiiv. That's Beehiiv. No Beyonce, no affiliation to the official Beehiiv. Cute name anyway, though. Shout out to Beyonce with her new country songs. Beehiiv is a relatively new platform. It is similar to ConvertKit, to MailChimp, but I think MailChimp's going through something. They got acquired. I think they're shutting down, if I heard correctly. But I like them for a few different reasons. The aforementioned newsletter, again, it's free. Feel free to subscribe. It's actually through them now. And so that's one of the reasons why I've been pretty low key, is that there's all these things behind the scenes I'm so excited to share with y'all, starting with this episode, but there's a whole lot of other stuff going on. And sometimes you have to get quiet to reorganize what the platform is and what you want to do. And so let's instead of just talking about it, let's get into it. So I'm going to show you what Beehiiv is. It's always fun when when you try to do the live demo. So hope you guys are ready to have fun with me. Are we good? Oh my gosh, we're good. Thank heavens. All right. So I'm going to show you what's happening. This is Beehiiv. I gave you the link, correct? Yeah, you have the link right there. That's my affiliate link. You guys will actually get, I want to say, 30 days free through that link. Check it out. So that's exactly what I did. Shout out to the folks that gave me a link to it. And I was like, I guess I'll check it out. And I was like, oh, no, this is the vibe. Built for growth without complexity. One of the challenges that I had, and you see the link right there. One of the challenges that I had with the previous platforms is that they are really complicated. Not in a bad way, just that, as I mentioned, I have, I don't know, from 700 to 1,000 people that subscribe to my newsletter at this point. So I don't have this gigantic newsletter. It's intimate. The platforms I was working with, they're used by people that literally have millions and millions of people in the newsletter. I had used some of these platforms for years, but I was only using a fraction of their features, number one. And number two, there are so many, it was so big and complex, it didn't quite fit my view of things. This one is super smooth. Pardon me, super smooth with the editing. I like it a lot. So there's actually a website that is parallel to the newsletter you send out. So I used to have a newsletter, as y'all know, there wasn't really a good website component. So someone would have to subscribe to read the newsletter. Now there's actually a web component of it. I don't need to design it. It's already there. It's archived. It's organized. The newsletter itself, I love the editing of it. And maybe if you guys can throw it in the chat, but if you in the future, I'm happy to go and do a deep dive and get into the editing software there, but it works really well. And a lot smoother again with the previous ones. The text editor, they talk about it right here with the text editor. You can do the automations, which means if someone signs up to your newsletter at, again, joindamon.me, then they'll get a few automatic emails like, welcome to the community, and here's some resources that might work for you, and those kinds of things. They're starting to integrate AI, which works really well. Excuse me, as far as if you're having challenges with like the text. The referral program, which is the meta thing, that's what I'm talking about here as far as with my link. Here's where it gets interesting. They have things called boosts, which allow you to either pay another newsletter creator to include information about your newsletter in their newsletter. And then as they subscribe to your newsletter, you pay them, say, a quarter or whatever you end up negotiating. But then the reverse, of course, is true too, where if you are comfortable with promoting or sharing someone else's newsletter and getting them subscribers, you can get paid for that as well. Similar to recommendations, though that's not the business part of it, you can actually gate the content, basic subscriber forums, and then you can monetize, which, I love the monetization discussion. You can have a paid newsletter, and they actually have an ad network. If you got my newsletter this morning, that was the first one where it was actually sponsored. It was actually my first sponsored newsletter. Cheers to Bring Your Worth for the first sponsored newsletter. It's from Bay Area Times, which actually visualizes a lot of the technology and shifts that are happening within Silicon Valley, a little bit beyond that. I've liked their work for a while. Sound like a really good sponsor. They're actually part of the Beehive ad network. And so through Beehive, I was able to get the first sponsor for the newsletter again this morning. You can check it out, which has been great. And of course, analysis tools and so forth. Polls, which I just talked about, as well as surveys. Here's my point. If you're going to be building a community, you need to know who the community is. The more layers you have between you and your community, the denser it's going to get. I can stop sharing that now. The denser it's going to get. And whether it's Beehive or someone else, finding some way to directly connect is so important. As we speak, there are massive layoffs happening with my colleagues, directly people that I know that have been laid off in the media space, major newspapers, major magazines, major TV. I think Paramount's doing layoffs as we speak. It's pretty crazy out there. And so this is kind of that perfect time. You know how I am with the independent thing. This is kind of that perfect time to have that discussion and to say, all right, what are we doing now that allows us to connect directly with the people we're trying to serve versus trying to get permission from folks that might not have our best interests in mind. This is joindamon.me. There's a new website. If you scroll down, of course, you subscribe right there. Check it out. Super clean. And these are the most recent newsletters. And as you see, it comes out every week. Just did the shout out to Nelly. Just did a post, believe it or not, on the rapper Nelly, but it actually connected directly to what I was trying to say. Last week, of course, was a big week. It was actually a week and a half ago with the Grammys. And I did a video on Bring Your Worth TV. You guys might remember it if you've been watching or subscribing for a while, about Tracy Chapman and how she owns her masters and why we should learn from her. And of course, it was a great opportunity to talk about that again. I think I did the video probably about 9 months ago. And so to see her and hear her on the Grammy stage was just heartwarming. And then to also bring up the discussion again about business. That was last week's newsletter. Everything's simple. Everything's organized. And now I have a home where it's set up in a certain way. And with the boost and the advertising and other supplements to it, then actually will start to sustain itself. Isn't that what we all want in some form? And so I think that's what's beautiful about it. If you're interested in learning more about Beehive, you can go ahead and click the link right here. I think I still have the link on the screen to see what's happening. And of course, if you want to join Damon, go to joindamon.me. You can join for free and check it out there. All right, today. Oh, one other thing. Totally forgot about it. How to grow an audience if you have none. Bring Your Worth 325. I want to say it's about 3 or 4 months ago, late last year. Really popular episode as far as the engagement and discussions we had. You'll see the comments once you click on the video. So I think it's about an hour and a half long video where we talk deeper about this. And it's not a live show. It's actually a recorded show. So it's a lot more detailed and a lot more organized as far as, and no smoke in my face in regards to building an audience. Be sure and check it out. If you did not see this episode last year, please check it out. I think you get a lot out of it. All right, today we're talking about how to bring or build, used to bring your worth, build an audience from scratch. If you have any questions, any feedback with you building an audience, you struggling with an audience, you want to expand your audience, throw them in the chat. I'm happy to chat with you. And I'm sure the audience will get a lot out of it too. So the second question I get a lot is, how can I expand your audience? expand my audience. I think one of the key things you can do, pardon me with my cough. I think one of the key things you can do is actually reach them, excuse me, is actually reach them where they are. Reach your audience where they are. I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, as founders, particularly as creators, I'm all three, but us creators, we really struggle with this. Or we do some amazing stuff in our basement. We create something from scratch. We get in our head and we write a book. I'm not gonna tell you how long it took to make all these books, but we create these things, and then it's like, we get the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come, and it's like, no, actually, that movie's fantasy. That's not how it works. How it works is you build something, ideally with the feedback of the people you're building it for. That's one. The second part of that is that you actually reach those people once it gets done, or once it gets close to being done. You reach them where they are. So back when I spent a lot more time on social media, I would say I'm not on Snapchat because the people that I serve aren't on Snapchat. But I was all on Twitter, the previous incarnation. I left Twitter a while ago. I have a video about it. I'll show you guys in a second. But at the time, I'm talking about 2 decades ago, Twitter was a big deal, particularly among us writers, editors who I wanted to work with. Back when I was a full-time journalist, Twitter was the place to be. I'm talking like 2007, 2008. Back when I lived in Silicon Valley, Twitter was the place to be if you were a writer. Now it's not. So I don't need to be there. And it's as simple as that. If you're going to build your audience, you know where your audience already is. And that requires tapping into the people that you know. It requires serving the people, again, that audience of one that you're already starting to connect with. If you're able to build with them, then you're able to get a better idea as far as where they are and how you can connect with them. Now, this one's really different. There's something called 11 Labs. Excuse me, 11 Labs. 11 Labs is working a lot with AI. I'm going to go ahead and it's easier to show than to explain. Let me go ahead and get you guys going. Another presentation. We're going to do it live. Right, 11 Labs. All right. Really simple to read. Generative voice AI. And if you look at the top, the very tippy top, test out our new multilingual speech-to-speech model. Here's what you can do. You can go and say, and I'm not even going to attempt to do the technology because I don't think the sound is going to translate, so I'm not even going to mess with it. Feel free to go there. The link is right there. And I have an affiliate link, so you guys will get a trial with it for free. Here's the basic idea. With this technology, there's 2 things you can do. The first thing you can do is if you create a video, or I know some of y'all that I coach, you're creating newsletters, and some of the discussions we've made is actually, the Washington Post does this, a few of the major folks do this, where they'll have the newsletter, but at the very top, it'll be like a little audio strip, like just like the one they have right here on 11 Labs. You press that, and it's someone or something, if it's AI, saying the newsletter. I haven't dabbled on that yet, but maybe you'll see it in the future. Who knows? I know some of y'all that I coach are dabbling in that. That provides a couple things. First of all, it's different because even I'm not doing that yet. Again, I just updated my newsletter, right? So not everybody's doing that. The second thing it does is that it actually allows your newsletter to be more readable because it's audio, and also more accessible because, of course, not everyone can read, or not everyone has the capacity to see the letters. I know folks who have sight challenges, or if they read too much, they get headaches. Audiobooks are for them. That's why audiobooks have become so popular, because it actually makes things more equitable. You could work with 11 Labs, and as you can see, literally just on their front page, I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, welcome to the Bring Your Words show. And I'm going to have it said in Mandarin Chinese or in Hindi, as some of my relatives speak Hindi. Just like that. So that's one element of that. If we're talking about expanding your audience, if you're watching this, you're likely English speaking, but I know that there's probably about, I wish I can pull up the numbers right now, but I know there's about 10 to 20% of y'all that speak other languages, or the other languages are your primary thing. I'm talking German, I'm talking Hindi, I'm talking Dutch. I guess that's how you pronounce it, Dutch. Every time I hear Dutch, I hear that high U. But that's allowed me using closed captioning to connect with more of y'all through Bring Your Worth TV. And nearly every single Bring Your Worth TV episode is in 8 to 16 closed caption languages. This is actually, pardon my French, that next level shit, where it's like, no, we're not just going to have the closed captioning in other languages. We're actually going to have the speaking in other languages. 11 Labs allows you to use different voices to match that particular thing. And then the second part, as I mentioned at the top, the new multilingual speech to speech model. In other words, you could be the one that's actually speaking it and going to different languages. I think it's beta testing as far as having the right intonations and making it sound like you, but there are massive opportunities here if you want to do that. Mr. Beast, who's an extremely popular YouTuber, has been implementing these type of technologies for a while. So have other, million subscriber, tens of million subscribers in this case, folks. This is something that's available to you now. It's available to us now. I've been dabbling with AI for the last couple of years, getting deeper into what's available there. I've been looking and curious about this type of technology for probably about a year and a half. I knew it was coming, but now it's here. I don't know what this means for the channel, but I do know that it's a great opportunity if you're like, hey, I want to reach as many people as possible. And English isn't even the number one spoken language in the world. I want to say it's Mandarin Chinese, or I think they just call it traditional Chinese. And then I think it's Hindi, if I remember correctly, perhaps a subset of Hindi. Then it's English. So even if you have an English speaking channel, even if you have an English written newsletter, if you want to expand your audience, you're like, I feel like I've tapped out. This is a great opportunity to do so. Again, you can use my link. It's try11labs.io. And then I'll gobbledygook after that. Just click on the link. You don't have to do it. Please don't write it down. Just click on the link. Again, it's a referral link. And through my special offer, you'll be able to get a trial and check it out. And they have a super basic trial on the website. So just go to the website, do that super basic trial just to hear what it sounds like and how it works. But if you want to go deeper, definitely use my link. And I'm happy to hook you up and see what else you can do. All right. Ooh, tea time. Hello. And then one of my favorite shows that I did, I want to say I did it about a year ago, Why You Do Not Need More Press. Listen, I have 2 degrees in journalism, master's in magazine publishing. Been a journalist longer than I've been anything else. Still a journalist. You'll catch my articles. Even I'm saying, no, press isn't going to help you. And I've been a successful entrepreneur, sold my startup a few years ago. Press was good, but what got us sold was the audience. We had 250,000 users. That hits different. Us being on the cover of the Wall Street Journal sounds good, but that's not what gave us our success. This video, and I want to say it's probably about 10 minutes long. It's not that long. I break down, I think it's 3 reasons why you actually don't need more press to, in this case, build your audience. You don't. There's so many people I talked to, even recently, where they're in the major business magazines. I have a column with Inc. magazine. I know folks that write for Forbes and, again, WSJ. And they'll get these beautiful write-ups, even like TechCrunch or some of the more perhaps nerdier, if you want to call it that, Silicon Valley publications. And they'll get these write-ups and other people in other people who are doing exactly what you're trying to do, like other entrepreneurs or creators, will be excited about it, but it won't necessarily build the community they're trying to serve. Does that make sense? So if I tell a fellow journalist, yo, I was on the cover of the Wall Street Journal, they'll be like, oh my God, that's fantastic. If I tell someone who I'm trying to sell a book to, go and sell a book, yeah, I was on the cover of Wall Street Journal, it'd be like, okay, that's nice. So how's this book serve me? It doesn't matter, to be blunt about it. It doesn't matter. It ends up being what the kids call today clout. It's just clout. In this one, I talk about why it's clout, and then I talk about what you should be doing instead, which flows right into our conversation today. I'm really excited about it. Happy to share it with y'all. And yeah, hope it gives you some good insight. All right. So today we're talking about quite a few things. It's always good to be back live. I haven't been live in, I don't think, this year. So it's good to reconnect with y'all. Today we're talking about building an audience from scratch. We're going to wrap up in about 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, be sure and throw them in the chat. All right. And the question, which is a little bit beyond this, but I had to touch on it because we have those discussions all the time with my coaching clients and all that. How do I maintain an audience? Again, I hit 18,000 last summer, 18,000 last summer or last fall. And it's been steady since then. And the question is, how do you stay steady? Like, you can get up there, but it could drop real quick. And that's I think a really good question. I think the main thing you have to do, you might see a pattern here, is go for the engagement, not for the numbers, which might sound weird. It's like, okay, well, you want the high numbers, sure. But if they're not engaged, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's like the old saying, if you're on a social media platform and you have 10 million followers, that sounds great. But if you have 2 followers and one of the followers is Bill Gates, and the other one is, say, Oprah Winfrey, then it's apples and oranges. You can't compare that. I'll take the 2 influencers who can connect with my audience and I can connect with their audience versus the 10,000 or whatever any day. That should be the energy that you have. Focus on the engagement. Again, if you have 10, 20, 30 people who are really rocking with your stuff, when you have a book coming out, they're going to be grabbing it. When you're doing a live, they're going to be watching. When you have a new thing that you're trying to do, they're going to be in your corner. And ideally, you'll be in theirs, depending on the service that you do. That is worth its weight in gold. That's the audience that's your baseline. They're not going anywhere. Those are, I don't like the word fans. Those are the people that are dedicated to the work that you do because you're dedicated to serving them. That's what your focus should be on. That said, the next tool, which I've been a fan of for years, shout out to them, and I love the work that Laura, the founder, is doing. Some of us have to be connected to other platforms, including social media. I rock with LinkedIn. That's pretty much it. You can catch me at joindamon.me. You can catch me at bringyourworth.tv, which is Meta because you're watching it right now. And you can catch me on LinkedIn, more for business purposes. That's really it. A little bit of TikTok. That's more fun for me. If you have to be engaged with social media, though, find a way to make it manageable and find a way to connect with your audience despite all the noise. Meet Edgar is superb at this. I've been a paid patron user community. Feels like more like a community for years. I'm gonna say like 6 years, 7 years. My youngest kid is 8 years old, and I'm thinking like I joined around the time he was born, or almost 8. So it's been a long time. Meet Edgar works like this. Oh, I have another presentation. I forgot. I'm busy just yapping. Here we go. Can do it live. This is Meet Edgar. And this is how it works. And I think you can see some of the schedule there. There you go. That's a perfect place to look. So what you do is you prepackage all your content. You go and say, okay, I have in my case with Bring Your TV, I have a video that talks about quitting social media. That's evergreen. That means people will watch it forever. It's not time sensitive. And I want to make sure that it's shared, in my case, on LinkedIn and a couple other platforms, but mostly LinkedIn. I want to make sure it's shared on LinkedIn regularly because there are going to be people that see it when I first post it. But of course, down the line, a month from now, there's going to be a whole new set of people that might get in front of their eyes because of the algorithm, timing, whatever. Or maybe they weren't ready at that time, but they're ready to watch it now. I put into Meet Edgar. You can see the neat categories right there. And I put it into the category, in my case, of like full length Bring Your Worth episodes. Then I set up a schedule and say, what, like 7 a.m. my time every morning, go ahead and post something on LinkedIn. And it could be anyone from this batch. And suddenly I don't have to be on LinkedIn posting all the time or whatever your flavor of platform. Suddenly it's posting for me. And I happen to have evergreen content, so it works. I'm starting to do that with my newsletter because my newsletters are pretty much evergreen. So the joindamon.me, those newsletters are starting to go into that cycle. So people are starting to get exposed to those things. It allows you to get away from social media because your stuff's being posted as it is. And it also allows you to spend more time building your actual community. If I was worried about doing stuff on social media, I wouldn't have the time to go live with y'all for almost an hour. If I was busy on social media, I wouldn't be making the books or doing the stuff behind the scenes or connecting with y'all on Moxie or whatever. Like, I literally wouldn't have the time. I wouldn't have the time to have a coaching practice. I would just be doing stuff. If you're starting to feel burnt out as far as building a community, or more importantly, maintaining a community, social media might be part of the problem because we can mistake social media engagement for building a community. And I would argue very passionately those are two separate things. Sometimes they overlap, but eventually you have to build your own community. And as I've talked about a lot over the past 3 years, that the Bring Your Worth TV show has been on, if you don't own the pipeline, then you're in trouble. If Facebook decides your content's not looking good, or they want to charge you more to reach your audience, they can do that in a Thanos snap. Same thing for X or whatever it's called now. Same thing for TikTok, any of them. And LinkedIn included, for sure. The thing is that you have the newsletters, you have the TV show, you have the one-on-one engagement. Again, I've been meeting some of y'all in person over the past month when y'all come through to Vegas. That's different. There's no platform that can take that away. That can't be demonetized. The algorithm can't lose that. Shout out to Brendan over at Creative Nonfiction. But the algorithm can't lose that. It can't lose that. This is a way for you to stay ahead of that so you're not working for the algorithm. That is my big soapbox on that. Thank you very much. Rock with Meet Edgar, female founder, Laura Roeder. I think that's her last name. Roader, I believe. Fantastic. I got a chance to connect with her years ago. Love the work that you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Meet Edgar could be the cure to that if you need to show up on social media. Oh, and you know where I was going next. How to quit social media, your step-by-step guide. Listen, to build an audience, you do not need social media. Let me say that for the people in the back. To build an audience, you do not need social media. This video starts, and it's actually a compilation of a few videos. This video starts with me deleting my Instagram as well as deleting my Twitter/X account. Live. There it is. It's not for fanfare, whatever. I'm trying to make it clear to you. You can have a sustainable business, independent business without social media. In fact, I found that my business has thriven, whatever the past tense is, thriven over the years as I've let some of the social media go because I stopped putting my energy into the respective platforms. Instead, I started putting my energy into you, into Bring Your Worth TV, into joindamon.me, into Moxie, who I'm partnering with. That's where I'm putting my energy into. I'm not trying to get more likes or more follows over here. My energy is just on y'all. That's what I was able to do 7, 8 books in the past 7 years. Because I'm not trying to get the social media clout. That's really building an audience. That audience of 18,000 of y'all wasn't built on social media. It was built on constant engagement week after week after week. So after 250 so episodes, a lot of y'all started to understand what I was trying to do and how I was trying to serve you. And we found each other. And it's a wonderful place to end on. Fantastic. Thanks for listening and for some of these questions that I got earlier. I appreciate y'all. If you want to go deeper into this, remember the different suggestions, how to grow an audience. If you have none, please check that out. It's a great follow-up to this one. Why you don't need more press. This is coming from a journalist. Keep that in mind. And as we just talked about, how to quit social media, your step-by-step guide. Yeah. Whew. Yeah, with social media, that time of building communities in that way, I think that era might be over. So it might not be the time to continue or to set up your camp there right now. Complete Bring Your Worth collection is out there. If you're watching on Amazon, you click the link. You can go and check it out on Bring Your Worth TV for free on the audiobook. Until next time, remember you can always bring your worth. You always build from now. I almost forgot my saying. I'm so rusty at this live thing. I love y'all and I appreciate it. Keep the faith and take care. Bye-bye.